Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, hey there. Today's episode is about fish sauce, which we often think of as an exotic ingredient used a lot in Asian recipes. However, we know that the ancient Romans had a version of fish sauce, which they called garum. And I thought that I would compare a version of fish sauce that is still made in Italy today that I heard about on Max Miller's Tasting History. So I thought what better place to try the anchovy fish sauce from Italy, an ancient Roman tradition, than with the recipe developed on that YouTube channel, Pullum Parthicum. I will also be doing another application with a more traditional Southeast Asian version or application for fish sauce, which the Cambodians call duck treip aim. It's a sauce, a dipping sauce used for a lot of things. Duck treip aim translates to sweet fish water. Although they call a lot of things water, like a lot of sauces they call water if they're thin and watery. This basically is a mixture of garlic, lemon juice or lime juice, sugar, water, and fish sauce. And so I thought I would try these two guys against each other in two different dishes to see how they would stand up. This is right here, Three Crabs brand fish sauce. It's my go-to fish sauce. It's the one I use for just about everything, and I find it works. It's like you can think of it as the Heinz ketchup of fish sauce. It's very all-purpose. It's quite strong, and it has sort of, I don't know how many different kinds of fish are in here, but I feel like, okay, so it says it's anchovy extract on here. It also contains fructose and hydrolyzed vegetable protein. I just find that it has a very indistinct fish flavor, like a general fishiness. It's quite good, and it just hits all the right spots. I tasted the anchovy juice, the Italian fish sauce, and you can definitely taste the anchovy in there. So it's a little bit more anchovy forward, and I found that it did not pack the salty punch or the umami punch, the salty umami punch of the three brands, or the Three Crabs brand fish sauce. So it's a little bit more particular, a little bit more refined and subtle. I also have two other fish sauces here. You could think of these as like the Americanized, the versions of fish sauce. They took something that might seem like an ingredient that you'd only find in an Asian supermarket and made it something that more American audiences might enjoy. This one, these were given to me as gifts for my birthday a few years back. This one is whiskey barrel aged fish sauce. It's a product of Japan, and it smells like fish sauce. You don't really get the whiskey flavor in the smell of it. You get it more in the flavor of it. And this one is a small batch bourbon barrel aged fish sauce called Bliss or Blee. It's red boat fish sauce. Anyway, this one, the smell of it, you get a little bit of that bourbon, but again, it's more in the flavor. So I consider these to be more finishing sauces. I don't cook with these two. I'll usually trickle on maybe a half or a quarter teaspoon at most on a dish once I've finished it, once it's in the bowl and ready to eat. You can think of it as adding a little drizzle of extra virgin olive oil or a little sprinkle of sea salt on the top of the dish once it's complete. These are, or I guess this is definitely my go-to cooking sauce for anything that I'm cooking. I'll splash it into some beans when I'm cooking like a big pot of beans to add not only saltiness but also a lot of that umami flavor to just sort of elevate it as a dish. And then I was trying out this one for the very first time in the Pullum Parthicum and in the duck treip aim fish sauce applications. So there you go. Let's get into it. I'm Chase W. Beck. I have a PhD in anthropology. Join me as we learn about the different ways food and culture intersect on Dr. Beck's Epicurean Delights. It's Fish Sauce Face-Off Part 1, Pullum Parthicum. This recipe comes to us from Max Miller's Tasting History. Max's recipe is an adaptation of Apicius's Pullum Parthicum from the Dairy Coquinaria. The first thing that we need is a chicken. Then we need some ground black pepper, some lovage, some caraway seed, some fish sauce. Carota Dhia Eddine would have been traditional, but if you do not have it, you can use an Asian brand, a little bit of red wine, some asafoetida, and water to dissolve the asafoetida in. We're going to spatchcock this chicken. Actually, I'm going to be dividing it in half, but I'll begin by cutting the spine out and spatchcocking it. I want to dry it out really good first, though. I've sped up the video a little bit here, just to make it look like I know what I'm doing better. You can't see all of my fumblings once the video is sped up. So I'm just going to run my kitchen shears down the backbone of the chicken. I'm going to remove that backbone entirely and save it later for stock. I think I'm also going to take off the wing tips. Yep. And then I'm going to cut through the breastbone, which is probably the thickest, strongest part of the chicken. But the shears make pretty quick work of it. And there you have it. Now I have two halves. I'll be making one half with the carota Dhia Eddine, the Italian fish sauce, and the other half with my traditional Asian fish sauce. The first thing you need to do is dissolve the asafoetida powder into the warm water. And this stuff smells quite strongly, but once you cook it down, it's not so bad. I wanted to try out this asafoetida after I saw Max Miller's episode, and I tried putting it on some roasted vegetables. And while they were edible, that asafoetida was a very strong, prominent flavor that lingered even after the vegetables were cooked. That was not a problem that perpetuated in this dish. For some reason, combining it with all the other ingredients really mellowed out the asafoetida. So I'm just combining the other ingredients here in the red wine, and I'm going to be making up a separate mixture for each pot of the half of the chicken. I don't have the same vessel to cook each one in separately, so I'm going to be using two different vessels here, and hopefully that won't skew my results too greatly. So pretty much I'm just taking the red wine and I'm adding the black pepper, the lovage, the caraway seed, and the fish sauce. And once all that's in there, I'm going to pour it over the chicken, and then I'll be adding the asafoetida powder that's dissolved in the water. And that's pretty much it for this recipe. It's time for a Botany Minute. Interesting here is that lovage, asafoetida, and caraway are all in the same plant family, known as the Apiaceae, which used to be called the umbellifery because of the shape of the flower. It has sort of a umbrella shape as it spreads out. The lovage here that we're using is the leaves, however the roots and seeds are also edible, which will give us a little bit different flavor. Here is the asafoetida powder in the water, and I'm going to be splitting this mixture up between the two dishes. So you'll see me dividing it out there in one of my little bowls there, so that I have an even distribution in each dish. The only difference between these two dishes is that one has the carota Dhia Eddine, which is the Italian or fish sauce that's supposed to be Roman fish sauce or inspired by Roman fish sauce, and then the one in the blue bowl is going to have my just sort of standard fish sauce that I use at home, which I was always told to use Three Crabs brand fish sauce because that's the best one. I haven't really tried a whole lot of Asian fish sauces. I figured, you know, once somebody tells you the best one to use that one. So now I'm just mixing up the other set of ingredients for the other bowl of chicken. So again, it's the red wine, black pepper, some lovage. You'll see me, I think I actually forget the caraway seed here, so I have to add it later. But I'll just get that in the other bowl and we'll be all set to go. I'm gonna go grab my 3 Crabs brand fish sauce, and while I do that, let's have an archaeology alert. Lovage wasn't just known from ancient Roman times, it was also used by the Czech and German people anciently. One of the recipes that I found while studying this was from the De Re Culinaria. They used lovage in a dish of flamingo, which I think sounds like it would be great to try out. So if anybody knows where I can get a flamingo, just let me know. Leave a comment below, and we'll see if we can make that happen. So as I get the last of this lovage, or I'm sorry, the asafoetida powder on top of the other dish, I'm going to get them in the oven, and bam, there you go, all cooked up. Rather than just gnawing on the whole half chicken by myself, I'm going to take the moment here and separate out the individual chicken parts now that it's all cooked. This is still very hot, so it might be a little bit difficult. I'm going to try to use just the tongs here to cut it down into its various parts. I got the thigh separated, the leftover wings, working on the second, the sort of the drummy wing. I have the chicken leg off there, and I thought I'd throw in the other video of me separating out the other half of the chicken while we did this first one. And just so you don't have to watch it again, although I suppose I could have just left it out. Anyway, I'm gonna cut up the chicken breast. I'm going to remove the rib cage and cut up the chicken breast here so that we can eat it easily. And then we'll be all set to do a taste comparison of the two. There we go. I'm just going to throw the bones in there on the side and add the rest of the liquid so that we get all that delicious liquid in there. And we should be all set. So there you have it, the Pullum Parthicum from Tasting History with the Italian garum-based fish sauce, and then regular Southeastern Asian 3 Crabs fish sauce. Let's taste them to see if I can tell any difference. First we'll do some breast meat. We'll try the Southeast Asian first. It's good. And then also you gotta remember this is the first time that I'm ever tasting this dish. It's very interesting. It's good. I can see why Max Miller recommended it. I can see myself making this more, especially now that I have a whole jar of asafoetida powder and no really designs to use it all up. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out. Anyway, yeah, recommended by me as well. So go check it out. I will be doing another tasting comparing the two fish sauces with a Asian dish, so that we can have the Asian fish sauce in a European dish, and then the European fish sauce in an Asian dish, just for comparison. Stay tuned for that.